All right. Hey everyone, welcome back, Coast to Coast NHL podcast with my man Tori, aka Mr. Maverick, the commish, you name it, he is it.
That's me.
We are here. It's June 16th, and training camp has been set. July 10th. That's right. Yeah. Some
Yep,
other
yep.
things going around the NHL. The Sabres have cleared house. The hubs, we seem to be figuring out where the hockey is going to be played for some of the hubs. It seems to be narrowing down at the very least. But yeah, I'm just getting really excited. Like the games that they're
Mhm.
within visual, and it seems like I'm fairly confident that the puck is going to drop at this point.
Yeah. Unless there's some sort of unforeseen spike, which there could be, but I think that they're also planning on doing some sort of preventative measures, so to speak, to try to cut down some potential exposure risks
Yep.
within these hub cities or these bubbles. So I'm sure they're going to do what they can to prevent that second stage if it does happen to come through. Because I think obviously the last thing they want to do is miss the season, but the last thing they want to do on top of that is get everything going and then have to stop it all again. I
Yeah, I
think
think
that
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 would
would
be
be
like
disastrous.
absolute disaster. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that they're gonna make sure it's gonna happen and they can prevent it. And if they aren't certain that they can make that happen, I don't think it will happen. But obviously we have some momentum here, so I
Hmm.
think it looks pretty good that we are going to. So yeah, same here. I'm starting to get pretty excited, especially when we look at other sports. I mean, I've been talking to you a little bit this week about baseball, and
Yeah.
I've been kind of on the roller coaster of baseball this week. I mean, I've just been excited more so because of the potential of the Blue Jays' future, but it's just kind of like the other sports. I don't want to be politically wrong here speaking, because there's obviously more important things at hand than sports right now. But in terms of getting back to the party of getting money in your pocket, which is what drives sport,
Yep.
I think the NHL is going to jump on an opportunity here. Um,
Yeah, and
it's also
just for
partially.
people that might not wouldn't understand what you're talking about, like baseball is very potentially losing their entire season. When
Mhm,
really they'd be right in the dog days of summer right now, like they like to
mhm.
call in baseball. Like it'd be middle of the season, but they could potentially lose their entire season right now.
Yeah. And that's the scary thing with these other sports is that like I could totally see basketball and like NBA and NFL sitting out for political reasons right now because or social injustice reasons. I don't really know the
Yeah.
exact proper way to say it, but like obviously they have a lot more athletes who have firsthand
Yeah, who have grown
um
up through the system of being a African American through
yep,
that
or
system.
minority
A
of any
minority,
capacity
yeah.
really.
Yep.
And it's just kind of like in hockey, there's a lot of people who don't have that firsthand and kind of have to support better than they have in the past and listen better than they have in the past. But at the same time, they can kind of, I don't sound insensitive, but
No,
take care of
I know
business
what
while
you're
they're
trying to
also trying to
say.
help.
Yeah, like yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I know what you're trying
So
to say.
like, yeah, I think that it's a good opportunity for them to kind of get the spotlight at the same time. And
Yeah, I
not that
think,
that's good, but it is good. So people need it right now.
and
Some
honestly,
people need it.
I honestly think this could go down in history as one of the most exciting playoffs. A, because there's all these extra teams in there, but B, like everyone's rested. They're like gonna be healthy. They're not gonna have those lingering
Mhm,
things that from the end of the season that carry over into playoffs. Those aren't gonna exist. So we could
mhm.
be in for some of the best entertaining hockey. And what better time for the NHL? Like with the MLB struggling, the NBA it's questionable what how that's going to be at this time. But I still think they're gonna figure out a way to play and do protests at the same time.
Mhm.
Um, just because I think there's too much to lose for them. But with no CFL, no MLS being played right now. I know the MLS had kind of announced some sort of startup tournament thing that they're doing, but it's
I'm at a soccer game. I have no idea.
I don't know what the exact format is. It's one thing that I do have on my list to figure out, but they are doing a formatted thing, but it's nothing like what their normal season would be. And again, that'd be going on right now. So I think this is an ample time for the NHL to take center stage and run with it. They could really increase their brand awareness for a long time here.
Absolutely. And like to change gears a little bit about the actual sport itself, I was reading an article, and it was interesting, just saying, all the talk about, put an asterisk beside the champion this year. They're actually saying that this might be the most difficult championship to ever be won in history.
Yep.
A, because there's more rounds. B, because exactly like you said, there's no injuries. There's no guys who, you're a good player, but you're playing on the bottom line because you just didn't have a great season, or there's no cold seasons or hot seasons. It's literally nothing matters. Nothing matters except
pretty
for
exciting
starting to play hockey, which it's never been that way. There's always top teams who are missing top guys, or goalies who are going into playoffs who haven't won a game in 5 starts, and they're just cold. There's always these kind of storylines.
To me, it has very similar feel to the way I feel when Olympic tournaments are starting, because you're starting, but it's important right out of the gate, and you're going to this final. It has that same feel to me, because it's potentially a once in a lifetime format that we're going to see. So it's going to be, like you said, there's going to be an asterisk beside this, but maybe for the most epic championship ever. I'm excited. Yeah.
We were talking about it in the group chat earlier, just about the potential start times, and just how they flip-flop each day, and how basically there'll be hockey from probably basically 9 or 10 a.m. in the morning Eastern time to probably start time around 10:30 at night. So there's going to be 3 to 5 hockey games probably every day.
I hope that's the route to go. I haven't seen that being confirmed anywhere, though.
Yeah,
it's obviously something
it's logical, right?
Yeah, to me it does too. It kind of goes.
I'm also relating it to, because this style's really, if you want to be simple, it's Olympic style. This tournament, right? Oh, that's why I'm comparing it.
Yeah. The feel of it, right?
Yeah. So it's kind of like, okay, well, the Olympics with the round robin and all these times, if you played 1 or 2 games a night, you'd be there for a month and a half. If they're trying to get 4 rounds in, we know that they're going to be playing back-to-backs and 3 and 5 nights, and the first round's probably if it goes 5 games, probably will be played in a 7, maybe 8-day stretch in the first week, right?
Yep.
And then there'll be probably a 2 or 3 game break in between, if that. So there's gonna be the requirement to have 8 to 10, I think that math's right, games in the first round per day. I mean, how many rounds are they?
Yeah, I never really thought about it.
There's 20.
You got 8 matchups.
Yeah.
And you're gonna want some to play back. You think they're gonna do some back-to-backs?
There's 8 matchups plus the round robin game.
Oh yeah, so they're gonna be playing at least. Yeah, so you could think of it as 10 matchups. 10 matchups.
Yeah, there's probably
12
maybe
matchups.
3 round robins per night, and probably 3 to 4 playoff games per day. Sorry, minimum, right?
Yeah,
if you break down
just hearing that
games,
makes me feel like the baseball schedule. Lots of games being played in a short period of time. I love it.
How do you fit 5 games in one day? You're not gonna. Maybe you have 2 games at 7 during that prime time, but then you still have 3 other games. Yes, you'll probably have a late game. So then, where do you fit the other 2 games in?
I hear what some people were saying in that they're not going to watch it; they'll be at work or whatnot. But I think, looking at it as a whole, just having it constant, they would score more viewers overall. I think. Let's be real. If you're working that office job, you're sneaking on. You're following along. That's what's happening during the Olympics. Everyone's at their desk. They're
well, I'm
slowly watching.
With my job on Wednesday, Thursday, I have to take calls. So those days, I'll still have it on in the background, but probably on mute.
Yeah,
because
of course.
I can't really pay attention.
Yeah.
But on the days where I'm off the phones doing production and stuff, I 100% would be just watching the hockey game and while I'm doing my work. Like, how exciting would that be? I
Yeah, it's like
literally would be watching hockey all day.
I know you said you're not much of a soccer guy, but the one thing I get up for soccer is the World Cup. I love it. So again, that's one of those things where they're just playing all day, right? So I hope.
I have one memory of the World Cup, and I was working in a bar that summer.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
didn't have a very good memory.
I bet. Busy, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, insanity. I remember because I was basically the dishwasher slash fryer slash pizza guy. So I was in charge of the French fries, the nachos, the pizza, the chicken wings,
So
and then
the
also
kind of
doing the
food that
dishes and
people
stuff.
watching the World Cup want.
Exactly. And because the game started at like 9 in the morning, they lift the ban where you
Yeah.
can't drink before whatever it is, 12 or 1, right? So now people are there and they're like, oh, I want this food at 10 now instead of whatever. So like you got to start the fryers earlier and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah.
But it was just like, I just remember going through like 4 times as much food as I would have expected to go through that day. And like we used to have chicken wings in these buckets. Like, have you ever seen like a dishwasher's dish bucket?
Yeah. I know
So
exactly what you're
we used
talking
to,
about. Yeah.
yeah, we used to have gray ones, and we used to fill those with chicken wings. We went through probably it's like a dozen, maybe a dozen and a half of those in my
Of just
shift,
chicken
which
wings.
wasn't even a full day.
Damn, that's a lot of chickens.
And then I went through probably 25 pizzas to 35 pizzas, and then 4 5 barrels of French fries, and that was again from like 10 until it was there until 6. Oh. That was my memory. So it's
Do
not
you,
the best memory,
do you still
but
like chicken wings after all that? Because I'm
the funny thing is I've never been a chicken wing guy my
no
entire
way. I
life.
love chicken wings.
But recently I've kind of been able to get down with them. So
Chicken wings have like such a wide spread. Like you can have like mad chicken wings, but you can also have like very like I don't know. I find most people like have their own preference, like different like
yeah,
just because I
100%,
love a way a brand of chicken wings is built doesn't mean you're gonna love it, kind of thing either.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, my parents, we used to do that, and we used to have like just like kind of finger food nights where it would just be like whatever, throw it in the oven, and often we'd do chicken wings or chicken fingers and French fries or whatever, right? Appetizers, and we would always have to have 3 or 4 different types of chicken wings just because we all had different preferences and stuff like that.
Yeah. Cool.
I don't know if you can notice how red my face is.
No, not really.
I don't know if it's that noticeable, but let me see if you can see my forehead. No, not very good. Look at,
No.
can't see the skin. I was working this past Saturday
The
at the
golf
golf
course?
course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was kind of chilly, right? So I get there and he's like, oh, okay, well, we have the marshal coming in a little bit later. If you can take a couple rips around the golf course. I wasn't going to grab my jacket, but I thought, well, if I go out, I want to have my jacket. And thank God I did.
Yeah.
And I went around the course twice and I was freezing. So then I came back and then I was our gate guy, which basically I'm the greeter to the golf course. And I was standing and I was like so cold. So I was just trying to stay warm by standing in the sun all day. And I had just got my hair cut and I had a hat, but I don't know why I wasn't wearing
Like a
it.
toque?
I honestly don't know why. But then it wasn't until I got home and finally kind of like got back, like just feeling normal being at home kind of thing.
Yeah.
I just was like, my forehead hurts. And I looked in the mirror and I was so burnt.
It's funny.
Like
You're burnt. Look at me. I'm like pale as a ghost.
Pretty red, but I'll just
Whatever.
go freckles on the cheek and then back to white. Wait, back to pale as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for being able to watch these games. Like it's going to be exciting. I can't wait.
Did you see that potentially like a hub could be more than one city? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like one hub could
I
be
don't
Vegas
believe
and then
it.
the second hub could be like 2 cities. Like
No, I don't believe it.
no, you think?
Unless it's Edmonton, Calgary,
Well, that's the thing. It was Edmonton,
or Ottawa,
Vancouver.
Toronto, or no, it won't be different provinces.
No?
It would be Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto,
What?
Ottawa.
Well, I
I think.
believe, at least for British Columbia, I'm sure Ontario is the same. I can't talk for Alberta. The public health minister here kind of waived some of the rules for the NHL. So we kind of accepted the rules behind what would help the NHL set up camp here.
In Vancouver?
Yeah, including the quarantine 14-day.
It's not going to Vancouver.
You know for sure? You heard it here? After you said that, I've been trying to find the source. I can't find it. So unless it's for sure?
It's Toronto Vegas, like I've been saying for a couple weeks. It's Toronto Vegas.
He's got his sources. Okay.
I'm certain of it. I've been certain of it for probably about 2 weeks now.
Okay. Yeah.
I only say that because I hear a lot of random displaced information, and I can kind of get an opportunity to put it together, and it just basically looks like, to sum it up, it looks like the path is being paved for them to come in here. It sounds like there's been major blocks of the hotel already booked off, and it's already been sprayed and sealed and stuff like that.
My concern is, though, like as we were kind of talking before, is the amount of games in a day.
Why? The Leafs have enough pads?
Do they? I don't know. Like I don't know if does Vegas have enough pads?
They do, because they just purchased that AHL team in Henderson.
Yeah. Okay.
Plus, they also have some local other teams that the problem is that, like, I think what we might see is those play-in games might not be televised. The play-in round robin.
What? Get out of here.
I don't know. I'm thinking that, like, I guess what your question was is how are you going to fit all these games in one rink?
Yeah, I assume they have more than one rink.
You're going to need at least 2 pads.
Okay, 100%. That's what I was wondering, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, I don't know the particulars on Vegas to speak to exacts on that, but Toronto definitely has the accommodations to do that.
Yeah, okay. And, like, worst case scenario, they throw one out in Oshawa, right? Kind of thing.
Not even.
No, I know closer. There's closer
their MasterCard training center is like 20 minutes away.
I'm talking if they needed like 6 pads for whatever fucking reason.
Oh yeah.
I'm just talking worst. I'm thinking worst case scenario.
They take the bus once a year to get to their training facility just for fun, so people can see them. So it's close enough to do that. So I mean, you just get a team bus or 2 team buses where it's literally only the team players and personnel who get on those buses, and that's it, right?
All right. Well, let's talk.
I'm 99% sure it's Toronto.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, I haven't been told that, but putting stuff together and from little pieces of information that I have heard, I'm 99%.
I think you need to have it all in one location. It doesn't make sense if I've read like a possible hub of like like one hub being Toronto, Edmonton, Vancouver. That doesn't make sense to me.
No, there's no way.
Yeah.
If you did Edmonton, Calgary, I could see, okay, you're in the same province.
Yeah.
And if you have your 8 matchups, 4 of them play.
Yeah.
In the West, you'd have 4 matchups, right? So 2 of them plus, let's say, the play-in games.
Yeah.
Or the round robin play at the one place, and then your other 2 play at this other place, just so you can televise and change rooms. Because that's the thing that I've been thinking about, kind of, I guess what you're getting at too, is change rooms. Like if the Leafs and whoever play at the arena, and then the game starts an hour and a half after the other team.
That's really where
it's a double overtime game.
Change rooms are definitely where the biggest concern for sanitation would be.
But I just thought of that too. Like, what if there's a double overtime game, and you don't have time to get those guys out of that change room and sanitize for that next game?
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm wondering how many pads. It's gonna be interesting how many pads they use and like kind of how they just deal with the logistics of the camera crews, like what they're gonna choose to do. So that's one of those things we'll find out with time.
The bar for this is, does the arena have the capability to televise or broadcast games? If it doesn't, it's not an option. So like you can't have, like, I'll say randomly Winnipeg or something. I shouldn't pick a team because I don't really know exactly. But if you pick a team and they have other rinks right in the vicinity, but they aren't equipped or capable of broadcasting, then you
Yeah.
can only use that as a practice facility, which doesn't really help, right?
Yeah.
So
That's another thing. If you're not playing, you're gonna want ice time to practice. Like, a
mhm.
lot to figure out.
And like with Toronto becoming one of these biggest cities, their fastest growing cities, like it could be interesting where if they do pick Toronto, Ricoh Coliseum does broadcast games and they're like retrofit to do it. But if they become an arena that has to actually broadcast games, it's going to have so many upgrades almost given to them, not that they have to pay out of pocket for.
Yeah.
So their AHL facility could, it's already one of the best AHL facilities. I think I saw it ranked as like the 6th or 7th best or largest or something like that revenue generating. Can't remember the exact qualification or category it was in, but it was 6 or 7 in rankings in the AHL. So you can imagine
I just remember that
if you
that
upgrade that.
General Motors Center in Oshawa was always like it was a pretty big upgrade for like just an OHL team at a very
Yeah.
good arena.
Yeah. And that was when they had the Memorial Cup, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So like it'll be interesting to see if the facilities around get all these upgrades because like not to take a sidestep here, but with me and the Marlies, like I love watching their games, but the AHL is trying. The AHL like owns the game, so they try to make you pay for AHL.com
Yeah.
or whatever live or AHL live. So I just feel like the Leafs could just purchase that and then broadcast that with perfectly good broadcast capabilities. Like the Marlies would only ever broadcast like half of their games at best, probably more like a third.
Mm-hmm.
So now they could actually broadcast like 70% of their games, which for me, I would absolutely love. But yeah.
Cool. All right, I want to shift focus to this team that is not going to be playing, but they are already quick at work here. And I went through and wrote this down here. They fired their GM.
You wrote this down. I wrote this down too.
Maybe you might have some that I forgot. They fired their GM, their assistant GM, their entire AHL coaching staff, their amateur scouting director. I don't know if you have anyone else, but
they fired their GM at the NHL level.
Yeah.
They fired their GM at the AHL level.
Yeah, okay.
They fired their assistant general manager at the NHL level. They fired their assistant general manager at the NHL level, so both of them. They fired their director of amateur scouting, fired their assistant director of amateur scouting. They fired their head coach of the AHL. They fired both assistant coaches of the AHL and nearly all of their amateur scouts.
Yeah, I would say that's cleaning out management. Like, basically, almost top to bottom. To me,
yeah.
And just so we're clear, we're talking about the Buffalo Sabres. Pudella, he quoted philosophical differences when he fired Jason how do you pronounce it? Botterill, their GM. Philosophical differences, and this is coming only a couple weeks after his wife, who is like the president, said that his job's safe. And it also something that quoted from the owner. It's not a rebuild. They just feel they're missing a few pieces to be a contender. So I guess it's.
I don't believe anything that they say. The thing that really put it into perspective for me was I was listening to, I want to say it was TSN earlier, and they had somebody on from the NFL. So something that I know nothing about. But what they were talking about is they were talking about the Bills.
Okay, the same owners.
Another owned team by them.
Yeah.
And what they were saying is that the Bills are one of those teams who are up and coming, apparently. Again, and I don't know what I'm talking about here, but that's what I heard.
They are.
They're up and coming. They've got some nice young pieces. The division's rather clear, so like they could kind of be a good team in the division for a while. And instead of continuing to build, they're actually cutting costs and trying to cheapen on their roster there.
Yep.
So if they're right there with this team in a different sport and they're choosing, we got to look at some different things now, I don't believe they're going to do anything with the NHL team. Yeah. As soon as I heard that, I was just like, I'm out. Yeah.
What do you mean by done. Do anything with, though? Like the owners, they said that with the way COVID has impacted, they are going to be able to move forward the exact same way, but with less people. So they can run a lot more lean with the way like virtual world is evolving in that.
Go listen to Brendan Shanahan speak about
Okay.
why the Leafs were never successful in the past and how you
Okay.
can be more successful when you have a team of people, a team of smart people to lean on.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that.
And I think that just shows. You see the Leafs got turned around. Like, yeah, they haven't got there yet. They still have ways to go. But like comparing it to what they were stuck in for the last my entire lifetime, it's a different gear that they're in,
Oh
right?
yeah,
And
totally different gear, and that
I
kind of
wouldn't be
goes with.
surprised to see Babcock in Buffalo, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, that's good. Where my next question to you I was gonna pose was, okay, so if they're trying, the Sabres are trying to go into this like new lean model of management.
Mhm, mhm.
I don't know if there's a blueprint out for that yet.
No.
But they did say they are not going to have a president, kind of like the Leafs do, of hockey
Mm,
operations. So
mhm.
I guess the president of, because
That's
you
the owner.
yeah, when you
He is that.
no, yeah, and that's what his wife is actually the president.
Sorry, yes, I should
Um,
say that.
but
Yes.
she's the president of the Bills and Sabres, so they don't have someone that's just hockey. She's doing both.
She
So
wants the say on things.
I guess so.
Which, if I'm a general manager, I have a problem with. If I have to get your approval on everything you're going to do, you're not going to get a top executive.
Yeah, and that
The
and
top executives need trust and power.
well, that's a good segue in that to who their new general manager is. He's a first-time general manager, so he's going to
He was a
be.
business general manager. He's not a scouting or a
Yep, he was in
talent
business
evaluation.
admin. He was the senior vice president of business administration. So he's a businessman,
Yes.
and that's really who the owners are of the Bills and the Sabres. They're business people as well. That's how they got their money to buy these.
You know where they're going? They're going analytics. Going
They're
analytics, and they're
going
going to
business.
say
They're
this
going.
$4 million player is not worth
Yeah,
$4 million.
they're
Let's go
going
get
lean.
a $2
Yeah.
million instead.
Yep, they are.
Yep.
But in this day and age as NHL, that can work. They have Eichel, they have Darlene. They'll have a top pick this year.
My more important statement with that is how, and I actually texted Jesse this, and I was like, how much longer until Jack Eichel demands to be out?
Yeah, and I
He
want it.
thinks one more losing season.
Yeah,
So if you tell me what Buffalo's future looks like, I need you to answer to me, is it with or without Jack Eichel?
I think it's with
If it's
Eichel.
without Jack Eichel, we have a problem here if you're talking about you're not rebuilding. That means you have 1 year to get this right. And if you don't, your star player wants the hell out
Hmm.
after you mishandled your other prior top player, and you're going to have a problem.
Yeah, this is going to be a tricky situation. It's really going to rely a lot on bringing in the right leadership. I've actually been doing some research and studying on leadership, so I find this to be an interesting thing. Is that if they bring in the right coach, the right leader, and that they can get it all on the right track, I think they can do it. They haven't been able to do it before, but I'm pretty sure when they were just firing a coach before they didn't clear out both the farm team, the scouting where they're gonna be how they're gonna be bringing in talent, and the general manager all at once. I don't think they've done
Mm-hmm.
that, and I could be wrong though. But I don't know. I
Interesting.
think it's interesting. It has to be done. The Sabres, they were a disgrace this season, for considering how they started the year and the expectations on them from them. So something had to be done, and I think it was only a matter of time. We'll see if this lean way of building management can work at all, though. I'm sure there's other teams out there that kind of have the same mentality.
Yeah, and I'm trying to look right now. Um, Something on Google where it's a list of all the available NHL coaches because I
Hmm.
wanted to see because I wasn't looking at that before. But
David Peters, who's the guy in Dallas?
if
I forgot his name already.
I remember Nance or something, no.
Doesn't matter.
But what I was gonna say is if I was in charge of Buffalo right now, I like the coach in Kruger because he's proven himself in different sports, which means his philosophies work. It
Yep.
just has to be a little bit more nailed down. And I feel like, again, if I was in charge, I would go out and I'd be like, hey, Babcock, you have something to prove. We'll give you a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal at not a lot of money because Toronto's paying you a ton of money to be at home.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go and do the same with another coach that maybe isn't getting a lot of hits for being another head coach right now. So basically, you run a 3-head coach system, and you just say, "Okay, guys, I'm going to be in and out all year. You 3 have to make it work. If you don't, not all 3 of you will still be here by the end of the season.
That
And I
seems
want to see who takes charge, and I want to see who pulls the team in the right
that seems
direction. And if it's
risky
Babs,
though.
then everyone else is out, and Babs was my guy.
That seems risky because really you're gonna have 3 guys competing instead of working together, and when you're trying to build a solid
We
base,
also have 3 guys who are trying. They all have the same goal, is to get that team into the playoffs. They all have the same goal to prove that.
they're
Like
better
right
than the
now, I don't
other
think
coaches
Babcock's going
though.
to get another head coaching job right now for a year or two, and I don't think he's going to get any serious bites. If he wants to get back in the game, he's going to have to take a step back and be an assistant coach, and then wait till that coach gets fired, step in, and then go again from there. That's the same way it's happened for so many other coaches. So like Babcock was basically going to sign in Buffalo until his wife said no. Like go to Toronto instead. That's a true story. He basically had already signed, and then his wife's like, "I'm not going to Buffalo, and I want to go to Toronto instead." So they decide otherwise.
Yeah,
So
I think I
I
remember
think
all that
Babcock
going
ends
down.
up as the back or assistant coach. I really
Yeah,
do.
that's all right. Let's add that to the calls. I'm gonna start keeping the list. But yeah, there was one. Let's jump in ship. Was it? Didn't the Devils get a new? Was it the Devils got a new coach or
Yeah.
I forget? You had mentioned.
Yeah, I can't
I
remember.
thought I'd just throw it in there. Was it Peter
Yeah.
Leviette or whatever? Or
Oh, Laviolette. Yeah, he's going somewhere else.
okay,
Yeah,
where was
maybe
he
he
going?
was the one to Jersey.
Okay,
I think was that where I said the other day? He
I
was the guy
think
who I
so.
brought up, but I can't remember what team I said he was going
I
to.
feel like it was New Jersey, but now I can't
Sounds about
remember.
right.
Doesn't matter.
Because he was in Philly and Nashville before.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I should have done a bit more research, but there's probably 4 or 5 coaches who kind of fit that role of don't think you're going to get a real good hit as a head coach, but come in and be this 3-headed monster. And you know what? If Babcock were to come in that situation and Kruger gets upset or Kruger can't get his theories across and Babcock becomes the head coach in a way,
Hmm.
well then Kruger, you're out. Babs, you're the head coach. Like I want somebody to step up. I'm searching for the right guy to step up and take control. If I get 3 chances at the same time, if you can't find 3 opportunities of coaches and in one season see and find what you like moving forward, then you should probably just sell the team and give it to somebody else. That's my theory anyways.
Yeah.
Start there. Get that stability in the coaching. Excuse me. Get that stability in the coaching and have that voice for 2 or 3 seasons. Basically be like, whoever are my best 2 players are, so Skinner and Olofsson, you're playing with Eichel. The other 3 lines will figure it out. Ristolainen and Dahlin, you're playing together. And everyone, if the Sabres have a shitty season again, but those 5 players plus 1 or 2 other players have really good seasons, start. It's a base. It's a foundation. It's a start.
Yep.
That's where I think you can get some trust back, and I think you can miss the playoffs again, but also still not have people start going further and further against you.
The expectation still got to be playoffs for that team though, going forward. Does it not?
Yes,
It has to be.
but is their roster set up for that? I don't know. I haven't done enough research to say.
Yeah.
Clearly
I don't
not
know.
yet.
I don't know much about their farm or anything. We'll have to get Jesse on the pod for one time to
Yeah,
discuss the Sabres more in depth for all those Sabres fans out there.
I know they have 3 or 4 nice pieces, including whatever they end up drafting. I think 7th Oh, depending on the lotto draft, obviously, but I think they'll probably end up around 6 to 8.
Yeah.
So they'll probably end up getting another good defenseman in that zone. So, I mean, they have a couple good forwards and a couple good young defensemen and a really good young goalie coming. So, like, they've got some pieces coming. The problem with the Sabres for me is that really the blueprint for building a good team is you have to draft and develop and then add those pieces when you need them or when they become available to really take that next step. I don't think Buffalo is very attractive to bring in talent via money.
Yeah.
So I
That's
think
the
that's the
unfortunate
problem.
side of it, yeah.
But I think that's why they brought Simmons in. I think Simmons will re-sign, which to me, I would put Simmons on the other flank of Skinner. Skinner, go be creative. If somebody takes liberties with Skinner, which they often do, which is why he gets hurt a lot and like why he doesn't have great seasons, because like obviously the more you're getting hurt, the less creative you want to be. Simmons, you're on his line. Make sure nobody fucks with him.
Sounds
And then
good.
I'd probably put like Middlestad or I don't know who else in the middle, but somebody in the middle to play with them and just be like, you're playing as our third line, aka against other teams' third best defensive pairings and units, which gives you better opportunities to succeed. And then I try to just go sign two or three defensive guys. Like a good example, I heard St. Louis is trying to trade Tyler Bozak this offseason. That'd be a perfect trade
I
for
love
Buffalo.
how you just say I heard like you know like you got the inside scoop.
Well, I hear a lot of shit, and I don't know if it's bullshit or if it's slightly true shit or if it's
no, I know we've got over where you
so.
get it's kind of how that stuff gets picked up, right?
It's easy. You could look at any team and pick 2 or 3 names that like if you were in control of that team and you're like, I got to cut some fat, who are my first 3 options? You're not cutting a star player, right? You're cutting those secondary or complementary type players. So if, as a team like St. Louis who wants to retain Pietrangelo and whatnot,
And
Bozak's an easy cut, right?
Yeah.
And like if you get a couple
too.
draft picks or a prospect and a pick for that, you do it. So for Sabres, if you give up undervalue stuff to pick up a guy like that, like he's not something superstar or anything, but you get a guy like that who's responsible, you slot him in the second line to allow that line, like I just said, to play third team or team's third units. Now all of a sudden you're taking advantage here and there, which means you're scoring more goals, and then you're taking steps in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's where I'd start.
All right. So that's basically that was the shit I had to talk about. Really, we went over the bracket last week. I don't know if there's anything else you want to touch. You want to talk any of this baseball mumbo jumbo?
I don't know.
I just think
most of my excitement with the MLB right now is honestly just the Jays' future.
Yeah.
So like, part of me is like, I want to see the Jays right now because they're so young and these kids are exciting. Like, I want to see them develop in front of my eyes, right? And this 50-game season, what happens if these kids all of a sudden capture some magic for 20 or 30 games? Like,
a 50-game season could, yeah.
But they also could be trash and win no games because their pitching doesn't hold up and it's young and unproven. So, like, who knows? But then there's another part of me that's like, if the owners want to sit out and be dumb, the Jays are a bottom, we'll call it 10 team. Even if they do a draft lottery, they're going to be picking in the top 10. If they miss this season, they miss next season because of the implications of COVID, then they do happen to have a lockout, which seemed like it was actually possible only a few hours ago. That would be 3 seasons where you have to basically do some sort of lottery draft system, right? So that would be 3 seasons in a row where you're picking in the top 10, probably in the top 6, maybe even one or multiple of those picks higher than that. So you're adding 3 more pieces before you even talk about free agency or international signings or anything like that. So I was like, damn, that could be like in the end game, once this is all done, that would be amazing for the Blue Jays, right? To just have all these young talent ready to go.
Totally.
But at the same time, like, who wants to wait 3 years for that?
I do not want, yeah. Do you know
I think
how
the sport would struggle to come back.
And that's why I'm like, I was gonna ask, do you know how commissioners are chosen? Because it seems like this Manford guy's been around forever.
Owners.
I know Bettman's been around as far as I can remember. And it's
Owners.
just so like, okay, it's the owner. Do they like when do they
The
ever
Owners Association?
do they have like a contract, commissioners? They must.
Yep.
Okay. Just seems I don't know, it just seems weird that baseball's in this situation that this guy. To me, it seems like his job should be on thin ice. Like they should never be in this situation. But he's obviously representing
Yeah.
what the owners want. So
Yep. Yep.
it's such a weird
And that's why
position.
I said to you a couple times it's going to get ugly, and there's going to be owners that get exposed because like there were some owners who were saying, "Oh, we barely make any money. Like baseball isn't a sport where you make a lot of money."
It's
And then
because
this
it's
guy,
been shit like this for freaking.
a guy came on the radio today and he debunked that. I
Oh,
don't know
okay.
who he was. I wish I knew who he was, but he basically came on. He's like, here's the dollar figures that this team was. This is how much this team was sold for. This is how much money is in the television contracts. This is how much money. So he laid it out, and basically, like, we're talking billions. Like, no matter how you cut it, it was in the billion plus range. So,
Yeah.
like, if you want to tell me it's not making money, but your starting base point is $1 billion, and then you're going above that, get out of here. That's a lie. You know what I mean? And like if you look at
Yeah.
the Forbes value, you look at the Dodgers
Well,
and these other things that are worth
I th-
billions of
it
dollars.
could be
Like fuck
potential that the
that.
owners see the writing that's on the wall, though. Like maybe not this year, maybe not 5 years, but like 20 years from now, are they picking up people that are going to make their game sustainable to keep making money? Because
I
like
think part of the problem
they're
with
not
baseball though specifically is that they've always done things just because they've always done things.
Yep.
Like it's such a traditional sport. And like I'm sorry, but if you have a draft and there's 40 rounds times 30 teams, that's too much. Where are you putting all these players? And like the fact that each team owns like up to 15 individual prospect or like development type tier teams, why do you need that many? Like I understand baseball has so many roster spots and there's so many injuries and lots of pitchers blow their arms out and never come back and stuff like that. But like who needs to like
So many
have property
divisions
or
of
own
yeah.
up to like 2,000 different players and prospects? Like
Well, at the same time, it makes it good for the guy that wants to live his life playing baseball. There's more opportunity.
we're talking about moving forward.
Well, if they own that many teams, that's what I'm saying. Like if there's 15, if
Yes,
there's
but
that many minor
now
leagues, yeah, like going forward, it's not gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be there as much.
I think it's going to create a better opportunity for the better players in the world to move up the chains, and there's going to be less service manipulation where like you can stuff players down in the prospects because like you can only have so many teams, and like you don't want your prospect, your 20-year-old prospect stunting your 17-year-old prospect just because you're stuffing him down in the minors, right? Like
Yeah,
if he's ready to play, you're not going to keep him down in the minors so that your other young kid you like is sitting on the bench in the minors. You're going to pull him up so that your kid in the minors can get the time in the minors and then start using your kid in the majors as an actual asset, right?
yeah.
So I think it's actual better opportunity for the ones who actually are going to make the MLB. But in terms of making a profession out of it, yeah, I agree. There's going to be a lot of opportunities taken away.
So yes or no, there will be a MLB season.
Yes. I think the MLB owners came back today with their tail between their legs.
It seems like it.
And I think that they realized that if they didn't come back with good faith, they were going to actually take legal or have legal action taken against them. And the fact that they went as far as to ask the players to waive their right to not sue them just tells me that, like, you're obviously worried they're going to sue. Like, you don't tell somebody, oh, don't sue me unless you're worried they're going to sue me. Like, I wouldn't randomly be like, hey, Alex, can you agree just not to sue me? You'd be like, yes, I don't see why I would. Sure, why not? Right? Or if I had a feeling you're going to, I'd be like, hey, can you not? You'd be like, well, you know, this or that, right?
Yeah.
So, like, to me, that suggests that they're worried of some sort of action, whether it's legal or whatever, but
Yeah.
they're scared. And they
Totally.
knew they
They should
weren't
be.
coming to the table in good faith. They knew that they were being
They were trying to
buttheads.
strong arm him. It seemed.
Oh, 100%. And they weren't negotiating in good faith, which is the consistent message that the players have been saying. And it wasn't until this players basically said, we're not even going to talk about your offer. We're rejecting it. And we're not even going to counter. Screw you. That was the turning point. And then ever since then, the owners light has gotten worse and worse and worse. And now, like I said, they're coming back now with their tail between their legs, trying to get this done so that they can not look any worse. doesn't mean that the CBA will be extended and we won't have a lockout
in a year and a half.
season and a half.
Yeah.
That's a completely different conversation that we can have at a later date.
Yeah. Well, once we
I think,
kick off the baseball podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I like my sports world is literally like 80% hockey, like
so
18% baseball, and then the rest is just everything else.
I've had an interesting, like I've gone through like ups and downs of where my focus is at with certain sports. Baseball probably like 4 years ago was front and row center, but NHL for me has taken a front row seat since I really got back into it about 2 years ago.
Yeah, for me it's just that like hockey. Once the cup is determined, I kind of turn off my hockey mode, and I don't turn it back on again until like I'll turn it on briefly for like the lottery. I'll turn it on briefly for the entry draft, but then I'll turn it again briefly for free agency.
Yeah.
But then I kind of just flatline until camps open up again, which during that time baseball is active.
Yeah,
right?
See, that's what I do with NFL. Is that I love it. Like during the season I'm in, but like draft I don't even pay attention to the draft really. Like I know who gets drafted, but like I don't the off season. It's like right before training camp. I grab the fantasy magazine at your local store and just figure out what trades went down, get caught up, and I'm ready to go again. So that's how I
see. I don't know anyone else who does this, but I legitimately will sit down and watch day 2 of the NHL draft.
Yeah, I don't
like 6 hours, and I will listen to every piece of commentary. I will listen to everything about every person. They walk down from the stands, they get their jersey and their photo, then they come up to the booth and they talk with like Craig Button or whoever. So like
you learn a little bit about them,
you get to learn a lot of this random shit and who has good seasons. And it's like, oh, this guy looks good and he only played 6 games because he broke his leg or something. You're like, that might actually be somebody more important than what he is right now.
Yeah.
So like just random pieces of information like that, right? And then later on when I'm looking at prospects for fantasy and stuff, I kind of can relate a bit back to that from a year or two past. I'm not saying I can remember it, but just when people kind of show up on the radar to remember, okay, this guy was like a sniper, so if he ends up in Buffalo, maybe he plays with Eichel, so then he's going to be a sniper, he's going to score a goal. So you know what I mean? It kind of just gives you a little bit more information to kind of have inside tracks on guys who might kind of come out of nowhere, or late round picks, late round steals, waiver ads, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know. I don't know anyone else who sits down and does that.
No, me either. You're one of a kind, Tori.
I know.
Great. All right. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. It's just the Sabres talk, and
Yeah, there wasn't too much, and I don't know if there'll be too much next week or not, but we can see. It's so like I always say, it's always nice to just jump on, chat with you. It's really the only time we have a good chat throughout the week. So
yeah, it's always nice, and I think we're gonna have some news to talk about next week. Nothing special, but
something.
I mean, we're gonna be another week closer to camp's opening, and we'll probably hear more about, like, right now the big talk on Toronto sports radio is Matthews. I think it's Matthews. I know it's Matthews and Freddie Anderson, but I think there's somebody else also down with them in Arizona.
Okay.
And right now Arizona is a hotbed, right, for COVID. So the talk is because you can't tell people to travel, but if they voluntarily do it, then that's fine. So the talk is, if you're Brendan Shanahan and company, are you pushing them or asking them, encouraging them to leave?
I bet those guys though, like, they're not doing anything. Like they're not doing things to put them in serious situation. Like they're probably hanging out at their mansion or wherever they are, and they're playing probably golf.
What happens if we fast forward 2 weeks and Arizona's in lockdown and the camps are opening?
I don't think that'll happen. I don't think that there's a possibility it can't happen in Arizona.
How can you say it can't?
Because the public would like shoot everyone. No, seriously, like the public would not let the
That's
government.
an awfully strong statement.
They wouldn't shoot everyone, but the government there would not be able to do it.
I'm just speculating, and
I know.
I don't know the logistics of it, but theoretically, you can see the problems of if camp starts opening up and all of a sudden your stud goaltender and your star player are having problems getting into camp, especially, or what if Canada says, yeah, fine, everyone's allowed in except for people from Arizona, Florida, and wherever. You know what I mean? Like, I know those are hotbeds right now because Canada's making accommodations to let athletes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if they say, yeah, we'll accommodate as long as they haven't, or they're in and they don't have to do the quarantine, except if you're from Arizona, Florida, here, there, and the other place, you have to do 14 days.
I guess I would start worrying if we're like June 25th and they're still in Arizona. That's when it actually becomes like an issue. Like right now,
that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is
it's like a week, 10 days.
We'll be talking about.
Yeah. Potentially.
And I'm sure there'll be more stories about, player X is stuck in, I don't know, Finland. I don't
I'm fairly certain like Ovechkin right now is still in Russia.
Yeah. Like and right now in Russia, there's some apparent issues where a lot of people are not believing it's actually a problem or that it's actually a pandemic. So, like, I don't really know the state of everything in Russia. Yeah. But, like, if there's a problem, let's say in Russia, well, can Russian players come back? What if Russian players don't want to? What if the government in Russia doesn't let their players leave? Like, what?
I think I'd be more concerned about the Russians not being able to make it back than Americans.
And like, we don't know Czech Republic or Slovakia or like Kazakhstan or Germany or I don't know, Latvia. I'm just naming off countries I can think of that have been in the Olympics.
I knew that's what you were doing. Yeah.
Where some of these players, maybe lesser known players, maybe there's like a Latvian player who plays on the third line for like Dallas or something. Rube Hintz or whatever. I
think that goes into it. All speaks to why they've expanded the roster so big, right?
Yeah, that's not announced yet.
Oh, okay.
The official size isn't announced yet. They said, what was the number I said before? 38 or 36?
37.
No, so you can have a 20. Normally, you carry 23 guys on a team, and that's including 3 extra spares.
Mm-hmm.
So then you'd have 28, I think it is. They said it will be at least 28 skaters, and you can have as many goalies as you want.
Cool.
So the number might be 30, it might be 32, who knows, but it's going to be at least 28.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know me, I've already done a spreadsheet for a couple of the teams who I'd pick as like. And the other thing as well is one thing that came up with the Leafs is, for example, Andreas Johnsson. Johnsson's currently hurt, and he's not expected to be available probably until after the play-in round.
Yeah.
So the question is, if let's say you're allowed 30 players, would Johnsson have to be one of 30?
I would assume the IR would. Yeah, I would assume, but.
I would assume that you could technically have 31 in that point, right?
Yeah.
So then you look at all the other teams with injured guys. Yeah, so teams could be like, you have 30 guys plus your injured spot. So now you might have teams who have 30, 31, 32, whatever. And then some teams might have 3 goalies. Some might have 5. So I know the Leafs have at least 4, but I think they've told 2 other guys to kind of stay put.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be exciting.
Should be interesting. We'll have some stuff.
Yeah, I'm starting to get amped. It's only a month away now. It's a month away.
Yeah, once we get a little closer, we'll have to set up that pool and figure that out.
All right, cool. All right, take care, Tori.
Man, have a good night.
Bye.
Yeah, see ya.